to Occultists Anonymous and our Into the West Mage Campaign Chronicle thingamajig, sponsored by y'all. Thank you very much to our patrons who support us monetarily. Thank you to
so
Adele, Alice, Aiden, Al, Alexander, Alstrid, Bernie, Buck, Chris, Doc, Emil, Ethan, Jeff, George, Ianthe did nothing wrong, I am the real 06, James, John, Camo, Cat Feathers, Klaus, Milo V3, Moku, Mozart D minor, Other Guy, Perry, Foog, Polka Dot Hubris, Porter, Puppeteer, Riafio, Sean, Shexara, Starfish, Terran, Thomas, Verhext, Vincent, Vortex Falcon, and Zoltan. Thank y'all so much for your support. It means a lot to us. We appreciate seeing all the old school folks who've been around here, some of them since the beginning, and new faces. So always cool to see the mix up there. When we last left, there was a sword at Legba's neck. Wait, no, we resolved that. I had that earlier. I was like, I can't remember. Oh yeah, I was about to kill Legba. Oh no. He survived. No, we resolved that, and after that episode ended, we realized, wow, that was Sunday night into Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
we packed a lot into that Sunday. And new information had been discovered, some things resolved. We discovered that there is, Jules made a psychic bug for listening in, like bug microphone, not like a psychic brain spider or anything like that.
That's coming next.
And I was like, okay, we just got to get this snuck in somewhere in Congress, or maybe somewhere around DC. Who knows? We'll figure that out.
I was talking about Congress on it to him.
Oh,
that's very true. Well done, Chris.
Yeah.
Have you been sitting on that one, or did that one just jump into your head just now?
No, that was just me being quick for once.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love it. So we jump forward in time a couple months. Now, stuff happens. So we're going to kind of go over some of the things that have happened over the past couple months. One of the first things is Jules going to Legba and saying, okay, you gave me this book. I have this psychic rock that is currently echoing my voice in my own head, and I hate it. Let's do something about this. Let's get it someplace. And obviously, Cloak, you remember that Ebol is your contacts who is in DC. You don't know where or who they actually are, other than this is a mortal, so to speak, sorcerer who has access to Metropolis, at least, potentially other places in the Temenos.
And because of a lengthy relationship, that potential is he can, for the right price, Legba would take him anywhere he wants, right?
Yep.
He's, obviously a shrewd person because he's maintained this relationship.
So, and this is more a question to the whole group, kind of out of character. Jules has this device. Where do y'all suggest putting it? If y'all want to, it's Jules and Legba's thing, we can do that. But out of character, where do you all think? Because this is also going to be like, next plot hooks kind of thing where they may come from.
And before people respond, I want to add additional emphasis on how this came up. Because Drew and I were talking about this beforehand, right? And then I mentioned this kind of like just dropping a hint before, if anybody doesn't remember. But Legba, through his conversations with Ebol and being in Metropolis, had heard about stuff happening out east, and had brought to the coven that, hey, there might be things that we all want to be concerned about. And so then that's what led to Jules coming up with so it is definitely a group consideration.
Yeah, what is the group most concerned about or want the most information for? I don't imagine anybody is so shallow as to be like, oh, I want to, drop us into the, Parisian, the word furniture keeps coming up. That's not the word. Fashion. Nobody cares about that. But do you guys care about what Congress is up to? Because there's other buildings in DC that this could be snuck into.
I think I would suggest that we're only really interested in how things might impact the town. Am I alone in that, or
I mean,
I mean, I don't know that Congress would even care about us.
Mm-mm.
right? But for example, a huge swath of land just on the other side of the Purgatory River was just ceded. If they decided to do that with our entire town, for example, that might have an impact.
Hmm.
If they're, if I may meta for a moment, if they're going to start conscripting people for an army or something, for example, we might be interested in knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
which side of the town is technically on
The town
native
side.
land? The town side is on native land. Okay,
Mhm.
I was trying to remember.
Yep. The farm is fine. The mill is fine.
I don't particularly have any clever ideas about it. So
Okay. Yeah. And for me, this was just the
Then-
hey, here's a good little touchstone. So I think the idea of go ahead, Ralph.
My ideas were I think when it first occurred to us is that we recognized how long it would take for information to get west.
Mhm.
Right, like it will take months. Some stuff would take a year to
Mhm.
get out there. It
Depending
takes
on
so
how
long.
important or dramatic it is. Mhm.
Exactly. So Legba was primarily concerned uh, because of um, our actions in emancipating people, and that things might get more intense the more Black people we've freed from bondage and the more we brought into the area. So when you have a few Haitians that are in a mine and people are like, this is really weird. Well, we're just going to kind of move on because we're all in this place for strange reasons. Once the town is established and there's some impetus sent from the east to follow through on federal expectations to round people up, then things can get a little more tense in town. Not saying that people would be less accepting, but let's be realistic about human beings, right? If there people are concerned about their families and there is some explicit expectation that they turn people in, they probably would. There's a fort nearby. And I think that's one thing you brought up, Drew. There's a fort nearby, right? So
Mhm.
talking about the military actions, I think is helpful. So Legba would be concerned about anything that would lead to the fort being a greater issue for the town.
That's
So
actually a good point. Do we want to put this in Washington, or do we want to put this in the fort?
definitely option. Yep.
I'm
Well-
definitely not trying to deflate your idea.
No,
and
no,
if
totally.
Legba
I mean,
No,
wants
it's-
to,
it's the discussion.
The
The reason
the reason. Go ahead, Drew. I think you're
Is-
going to say the same thing I'm going to say.
Well, because one of the things I was going to bring up is there's a bunch of different committees within Congress, which, of course, for Craig and some of our audience who might not be U.S. or are in the U.S. and just aren't paying attention, there's a bunch of these different committees that you could spy on specifically, because that's where the closed door conversations happen. Where this could be snuck in and find some place where you could place something like that, or in a specific congressperson's office.
Yeah.
Right. Things of that
Exactly.
nature.
I think one of the reasons why Legba searched for something like this was so that we could spy on people without concern that a mage would detect our spells. Because Legba's first instinct would be, if I want to know something, I'm just going to scry on them, right? He's going to rattle the change. He's had that as a praxis for so long. He just checks things out. But there's no way there isn't a mage or two around Congress or any of these places, right? There's no way
Mhm.
that even a short duration scrying spell doesn't risk detection. So when Jules has just some, speakers, a microphone he can place there that's fallen sorcery, then there's no risk of it being perceived to be awakened magic.
True. There won't be a nimbus.
Yeah, exactly.
It-
Nothing like that.
It might tweak mage sight, maybe, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
It will.
Mhm.
But yeah. But it won't, it won't be in this particular case, this is a life and mind spell, or maybe just mind spell across a
Yeah.
distance.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily space, which is your big red flag of, oh, somebody's scrying.
Yeah. And I imagine tons of people have mind effects going. So it's not a guarantee that we'll be able to listen to everything forever,
Hmm.
but it definitely increases the likelihood that there won't be some mage who just eliminates our window, or not window, but our microphone so
Right.
quickly. And Legba doesn't have any problem scrying on the fort. And it's so close that we don't have to scry. We can just walk over there,
Yeah, we have regular visits, I think, with Sheriff
right.
Isabel.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's a good point. Exactly. Yeah. So the sheriff
Okay.
would know.
Sounds like we'll drop it into Congress. We can talk more about like where maybe.
Yeah.
So
Let's discuss that.
yeah. So you what do you offer a ball to, like, hey, I have this thing. I need
He's not
to
going
play
to tell
some.
a bull.
Okay.
He wants to put it there himself,
Okay.
or with the help of Isabel or others who want to do this. No. Like, he's thinking there should not be an exchange that somebody knows where our bug is.
Mm-hmm.
We should walk in there and place it there. No spells. We travel to DC. We just put it in something. Maybe a matter effect to bury it or something, but no connection to it. It's there. He doesn't know. Nobody knows.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, we're jumping forward a couple months here, so no, I like that. Just one weekend, it's like, you know what? You guys want to sneak into the Congress building?
Exactly.
So,
what could possibly go wrong?
yeah. And I am absolutely okay. We this won't even be a thing we play out. This is, at the level of magic y'all are, like, this is not too odd. And as you mentioned, it's like we're going in knowing we cannot leave a single nimbus behind. So incognito presence, and pray that the clash passes, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I like that. So who all wants to visit can, and y'all roll out to DC, make a little tour. Of course, for some of you, this is not your capital. Like, you don't you don't care, but it's like, okay, we can go walk around some stuff, and and actually, truthfully, you don't even need to sneak in. Just go attend seating of Congress and just drop a rock somewhere, surreptitious and sneaky, and tuck it away somewhere. Because, I mean, worst comes to worst, somebody finds it and tosses it in the trash somewhere, or something of that nature. Cool. I like that. We're gonna leave it at that, and a little open-ended. But I like that. Unfortunately,
But it was good for the story.
right. Unfortunately, a couple days pass by after you all return, and Jules is having a time, man. Because it's fine. Like, at night, he can sleep just fine. Not a big deal. Especially with the time zone difference. Not really a problem, because by the time it's time to sleep, there's some early mornings he gets that surprise him and wake him out of sleep, and he's like, this is okay. During the day, though, I'm trying to take care of 2 daughters that I love, and I have a bunch of white men yelling and screaming at one another.
Could you give him a mute button?
We have discussed that, and that's where we jump now.
Yeah.
With Jules knowing that his wife is amazing. She can do so many things. But mind stuff, nah. In fact, that is her inferior arcana. That is the thing she just don't mess with.
He knows better than to even ask.
Yep. It's just like one of those times he's rubbing his temples. I wonder, would Isabel would be like, listen, you just need to go talk to Legba and get that sorted. Just like,
Short of just forcefully making you sleep.
yep. I like that. So yeah, he goes to Legba and he's like, listen, I love this information. It's very useful. Not all the time.
Have you been transcribing?
I have some stuff, some notes when conversation actually, like, they're starting to move forward with things. They start talking about taking votes on things, or they read. Then I try to pay attention, but I can't do it all the time. It's very distracting. I've got to figure something out. It's in my head. Do you have any? His mind, like, surely we can come up with something.
Jules sees a wide smile slowly emerge on Legba's face.
I think that's kind of unsettling.
Less so these days, right? It's a little more common now.
Yeah, that's right. The first times it was happening, it was a rictus, right? Like,
yes. And more of a bearing of teeth than.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like he'd watched lots of videos of people smiling, but never looked at the eyes, only looked at the mouth. So he only knew how to. Yes.
What was it? How I Met Your Mother, I think, did a bit about that. It's like the smile doesn't reach his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. So he says, there are a few ways that occur to me to solve your problem. I'd say the most expedient is also the most invasive.
I mean, expedient sounds good, but what kind of invasive are we talking?
Well, let's not say invade your mind, but there would be an implantation.
Like,
I think that is the word.
There's a shift. Hang on. Did we determine whether or not Frankenstein has come out, or are we into some Mary Shelley stuff? Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like, hang on. Implantation, that sounds problematic. I was thinking something more magical.
Yeah, it would be magical.
Do you have the mind to, like, instantiate a Goche, like, as a secretary?
That's what
we'll alert him when something major's happening.
Can you just do the, like, two mind thing?
That's well, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As a possibility. Drew and I had a little conversation. So that both notions
both came up.
You both came up, and I'm so delighted that both of you mentioned them. So Legba says, the most expedient way to solve your problem is to have an intermediary. You're not capable of generating one on your own. I can modify something that is in your mind, but there are consequences to modifying that which currently exists. The cleanest way to do that is to place one within, and I have the requisite skill to do so. The alternative is to give you some ability to do what I do. Monitor two different realms of perception. Have a way that you can attend to the input and maintain your attention on what you have to do here in the physical.
That would only work if I'm awake, though.
Indeed.
So what are we talking about? Invading into my mind.
His smile deepens, and he says, this would, of course, be of your choice. However, have you... Oh, actually, remind me, have we stepped into Jules O'Nero's yet? Have we done that? Have we seen that?
No. Not on camera.
Okay, so Legba says, if you recall, there is a part of ourselves, our soul, called the O'Neros.
Mm-hmm.
It's what connects us to the astral realms. It is a part of the astral realms. It is also a landscape and a population. It is the easiest way for our minds to think about it. Our minds are limited, so we must use what we see and what is familiar. So it's a place populated with people, with entities. Well, if what you need is a way to temporarily or turn on and off, have someone else monitor the input reaching your mind, all you need is to assign someone to that task.
Like a
and place
telegraph
them within
operator.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, that if they're limited and that's all they'll do and not affect the rest of my mind and personality, it doesn't sound too problematic.
That can be predetermined, but as you no doubt aware, employees can sometimes overstep expectations of their position if they're not monitored.
Right. Yeah. So I'll have to check in, and then you and I will, we'll have. And behold, the invention of
reviews.
therapy.
Yeah. Yes. And this would be your responsibility unless you wanted me to be visiting you in your dreams periodically to determine what's happening. I will say that
I think I can
as you
handle it.
wonderful. You should not be concerned that I will somehow judge you for anything I see within your Oneros. Just that some people prefer to keep their own counsel most of the time instead of having a frequent visitor to, well, tidy the floor.
Sure. So you would enter my Oneros and
We
leave.
will.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that's even better.
You must participate so you know exactly what is there. And that you can also, in the event of possible inconveniences, you can serve as an intermediary yourself.
Okay, that
This
makes
is your
sense.
mind. You should be present.
There's a moment where Jules is like,
Yes. Yeah,
huh.
like his face hasn't changed because that's a confusing thing to say, right? But
Present
he's said
in
that
my own
phrase
mind.
so many times. It's old hat at this point for him.
So we make a little short time skip forward into Jules's Oneros,
Wonderful.
which looks more or less like the streets of London. Twisty turny, it's an absolute mess of stuff, but Jules is at home here. Like, this is natural to him. And having read a bunch of stuff, I imagine that he has probably been into his own Oneros at one point or another in the past decade. And guides to a abandoned or for rent sign on the building, and walks in. He's like, this will be perfect. We'll set them up shop here. And like already, like, things are starting to distort and kind of take on that telegraph office kind of look. And he's like, see, this is perfect. This is great. And somewhere there's a daemon off in the distance going, what are you doing in there?
Yeah, that's
I'm going to watch this. Let's see what happens.
Yep. I reserve the right to evict you.
Yeah.
Forcefully. Slegma says, will you be able to... No, he doesn't say that. That would be insulting. He says, if this is where you wish the telegraph operator to reside, so be it.
Perfect. What do you need from me for here?
Well, this is a very personal thing to do. This must make sense for you. Otherwise, it will be something that you reject. And for the purposes of this conversation, I'm avoiding using another term to refer to another part of yourself. You've heard the word daemon before, but it's most useful just to say that if this is a person you don't like, much in the same way that if you're working with someone on a team and you eventually develop some ire for them, you're not going to work as well with them.
Okay.
The creation of this telegraph operator must be someone you want to have in your mind.
I mean, pretty. Yeah, I can guess a person. Like Jules is like trying is like, yeah, that's easy. Yeah, like yeah, Isabel, right? I can just bring Isabel here. I mean, not it won't be all of her, but it'll be a goetic entity like Isabel.
Is that what you want? Do you want your wife in your mind?
I mean, I don't hate the idea. I'm sure
She's
she's
already there, bro.
like 11 years rent free. But
There
yeah,
was a Star Trek Next Generation episode about this.
yep. Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, of course. I mean, there's some probably multiple forms of her somewhere here in my Oniros. So another
Yes.
one wouldn't go,
Well,
awry.
those are an organic consequence of your relationships with her.
Right.
Here in this case, you're choosing to implant one made whole cloth from nothing. That is why I asked to confirm.
Yeah,
You've gotten to know those. You will be choosing what aspects of her are present. Are you comfortable with a caricature of your wife, who will be solely serving a subordinate function in your mind to
when
make
you
it
say it,
easier for you to do things in your life that you consider of greater import?
I mean, when you make it sound like that, so maybe not like wholly subordinate, but like, she's my, we're like we've been doing this for a decade. We've kind of got a partnership thing figured out, and
He
you know,
nods, and he says, "Let me clarify. I don't consider matrimony to be a relationship of subordinacy. I merely mean to say that this will not be your wife in total. For the purposes of what you want, it cannot be Isabel in her entirety. And you are wanting a Goetia that will serve the function of receiving this input and giving it to you when you want. So this Goetia will be primarily subordinate to you in that context. And that's what I meant to ask. I'm trying to get better at empathy, and I'm trying to inquire as to how you will feel about having a version of your wife that is solely your employee."
it's like Jules looks around, right? Like checks over his shoulder to make sure Isabel is not here, right? And goes, "Okay, yes, I think this is okay." In his own mind, he's like,
Honestly,
if she
he
finds
deserves
out,
this one. He needs one.
if she finds out, right? But yeah, no, I think like for this purpose, I think yes, I think that works because truthfully, having it be somebody else also feels like that would be worse.
It may be.
So yeah,
You will see. You will find out. Very well. And then Legba turns and he says, he like clenches his fist and then puts it up to his mouth and blows it, and blue dust sprinkles out and then materializes into a basic version of Isabel as Cloak sees her. So this is what Jules sees and what the audience sees, right?
Mhm.
They see let's say a slightly more muscular version of Isabel than she presents,
Mhm.
and she has a defiant expression on her face, which is and her face is contorted simultaneously into an expression of defiance and an expression of amusement. Now, it's really hard for people to do, but in Cloak's mind, right, like she has both overlapping on her face at all times.
Yep.
Because he appreciates her in a three-dimensional way, right? But that was his first impression, was this lady just thinks everyone is a joke at times and is also prepared to challenge you. So he's like, all right, well, this is who you are, right? So that bias still remains there, even though he doesn't think of her personality solely like that. And again, we're saying this is a character for the first part, right? So comes up, she's wearing half a dress and half the sheriff's uniform. Like cut right down the half, right half, right, coming down. And she has more than two guns. She has two guns. He assumes that she has extra guns. So Jules is seeing this. They just come because he's just like, here, we're going to edit this, right? But this is Isabel, right? This is boilerplate Isabel, right? So she has 2 guns in her hips, and she has a giant, the ankle gun's bigger than the regular guns and the hip guns. And then she has a gun that you can see the handle poking out from the dress. That's like would be coming out her armpit. So it's like
The
coming
shoulder
up across
holster,
the chest.
yep.
Yes, exactly. But it's like coming up like that. So she would like have to reach inside and pull it out like this, right? So she'd be reaching down if she had exposing her décolletage, right? Pulling out a giant gun like that. So, and he says, "What would you like to change?"
And like as Jules is like, what is this? You know, Picasso, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
You ain't saying that.
yeah, that's true. We're a century
100
off?
years
Yeah.
early. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, let's just keep this simple.
In my head, like Jules gets a funny look in his face, and then we just fade to black, and then like a door kicks open, and there's Isabel. Murder. I can explain.
Well,
It's just it's cut to them in bed that night. It's like, so I understand.
Jules holding the blanket up, the fear in his eyes. No, and I think we jump cut here to and Chris, feel free to jump in on this if you wish. But yes, we cut to, you know, what looks like Isabel as Jules knows her, right? In one of Rilla's more like original OG way back to episode 1 outfit of just like secretarial studying kind of thing, and Jules standing there with his arms crossed and nodding and going, yeah, I think that works. Or
Mm.
is she awake yet, or
And then he snaps his fingers and he says, "As you know, it is not kind to speak of people in the third person when they are present." And
oh, right, yeah.
Nice place we got here.
It sounds just like her, or you sound just like you. Oh, this is going to be
That'll
a
be fine.
problem.
You'll get used to it.
Okay. I don't know that it will. So your job, and I think the way this works is you probably
Oh, you're
already.
gonna tell me what my job is?
I think we're good like that. I think.
Cloak raises an eyebrow. Label raises an eyebrow. Like, I told you.
Yep. Think we're good. I will note, Ralph and I both called and we're like, and Chris is going to love this. Chris is like, I'm going to jump in on that character. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we jump cut out of this, that way we don't spend the entire time in Jules' Odiros as he is like, yes, my wife in not quite sexy secretary outfit in my mind. Yes, this is perfect. And yes, nope, it's still Isabel. He is not getting away with anything, even in the depths of his own mind. But on the plus side, there's now a additional entity that is able to more or less transcribe, take notes, and review stuff. Jules still has to actively do this, but can now go about his day and not have stuff rattling on in his head. So I return it back to my notes here.
There's one remaining thing, right? Did you
Was
want to
there?
handle that now?
I can't
Yeah.
remember what the remaining thing was.
The spell on the sleepwalker.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Briefly
And
handle that.
yeah. And so, yeah, actually, that's a good point. Few weeks pass. The effect is working. Everything is intended. We have the, sit in the chair, tell me about your feelings. No apparent effect to Jules. And so you can hand the spell off.
Great. So then, like we would say, I doubt you've experienced this before, but this is one of the privileges of knowing a sleepwalker. and a sleepwalker knowing a mage. That we can create spells for you and ask you to hold them for us. In order to do that, as we have learned, you need to understand what the spell does, as well as is possible based on your understanding of magic. We need to have a relationship with you, and you need to accept the spell willingly. And considering you were there when the spell was created, and we have a good relationship, he smiles and places his hand on his shoulder. I'm asking you, will you hold the spell for me?
Hold Isabel in my soul? Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And he transfers the spell over. And as he does it, he says, this is one of the oldest bonds between sleepwalkers and mages. And I thank you for allowing me to forge this bond with you.
Thank you for getting a bunch of angry white men. Well, I don't think Jules says it that way. Bunch of angry people yelling and shouting out of my head in some place where I can continue to function as a normal human being. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which actually, yeah, we'll pivot over here because we were talking about Isabel. Akomi has come into town in the past day or two, and it's not a unusual thing, especially as there's been a little bit more connection, especially once everyone realized, oh, we are on Arapaho land. We're, and so rather than be a big problem, the town has just started openly, actively trying to trade with them and stuff like that. Ike has some grumbles about this, but it's not like he actually controls people. And so Okomi comes in and kind of normal business stuff, meets with you all potentially, during the night or something that, well, actually, no, she probably can go straight to Isabel without any real problem because just sheriff.
Yep.
And comes to.
I would say if this has happened like a few times, it's probably like a meeting in the sheriff's office where I know that it's fine, and then like a public like lunch in the tavern sort of thing.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, just to be like, yeah, everything's cool. We're here, we're chilling. Sort of vibe.
I like that. Yeah. So yeah, it is in the sheriff's office that Akomi, who does not use a shadow name, basically looks at you and says, after talking with Sheriff Isabel and stuff like that, and she looks straight in your eyes and goes, Petrichor, I have need of a healer. There is a growing pox among our people. All our normal. I'm translating to herb lore, and our various medicines that we understand are not working. It is in. It's very aggressive. Nobody has died yet, but I feel that if you or one of the others do not come, actually, no, you're the only one with life magic. Yeah. So
I'm
Helena has
the
one
rather
dot,
specialized one.
yeah.
Doesn't Helena have a dot?
That one dot. It's
You
not
got the
enough
one
help.
dot. It's like, yes, they have pox.
Everybody else got a little bit of overlap.
Yep. But yeah.
I'm chilling over here with spirit and time and
fate. Yep.
I guess I got forces, which other people have. But
Yep. So yes, I need your help because I am bad at this. She's a Mastigos.
Right.
So yeah. And there is nobody nearby that I can get assistance from without owing favors that I don't want
see.
to owe.
From other tribes?
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, things are tight, and a lot of the uh, friendly give and take that was established between our different groups has become more and more strained as things have continued to move west. And like there is a lot of like Akomi is not mad at Petrichor because
No.
it's not her fault. It's not even Purgatory Bluff's fault, but it's like this is shit, and I want to yell and scream about that, but that's not going to help people right now. So,
Right.
um,
I mean,
are
yeah,
you?
she pretty much just like, I'm happy to ride out with you now.
I was more going to say, can we just be there now? If
Oh, yeah,
you-
that's fine.
and she's like, thank you. Like the relief.
Like, turns off, like, puts out candles and stuff, and then, like, bars the door from the inside.
Ooh, yeah, cool.
Like, Sheriff Isabel's taking a nap inside. Don't bother me.
I like that. And that, yeah, like as she's like, there's that nervous energy, and then as soon as like the door is barred, which after the past couple of years she's kind of figured that out, reaches over, takes your hand, and says thank you, and we are gone. And is in her tent, which is, especially from the interior, is absolutely like, this is a wise woman's,
Sure.
medicine
The bigger on the
medicine
inside.
woman, I guess. Yeah. The appropriate term. I'm not sure what the Arapaho use. And she's like, okay, great. So, you're just going to have to hide here while I bring people in, because me visiting you, not an uncommon occurrence. You have not been here, or rather, nobody is used to you suddenly appearing.
Sure.
And what you are about to work is also
Miracles.
so because we tried this years past, and we weren't careful, and everything was undone, and that put us in a greatly strained place. So cool, thank you. Yes. Like they just relief, and then that nervous, anxious anxiety, and she like has that like look around, make sure everything's there. She's like, you're there, cool, and out she goes. And you deal with a parade of about 40 people, starting with a bunch of very young and very old, and then working into more middling age. And like you are drained out of mana. Actually, maybe not. No. So I looked at this spell earlier. I was like, wait, hang on. Might not actually care.
Healing spells don't need mana.
No, I was thinking of the amount of reach that you might need, but maybe not.
So can I tell you what my approach would be?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good.
My approach would be to work with her to enhance the life properties of the herbs and poultices and stuff that she's using.
Ooh, look
Real
at the
good.
brains on Chris.
Ooh,
No,
yeah,
that's
that's real good.
that's such a good idea.
Because then I just need one spell.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then it's also a lot more believable.
Mm-hmm. That's real good.
That's
That
really
also
good.
really
Yeah.
makes sense that Isabel would want the herbs, the herbal medicine, not to be, displaced.
Mhm.
Right.
Like it's still centered.
Right.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, because that's true. I was thinking of something up there in oh my gosh, perfecting kind of. Well, I guess it
Yeah.
is still perfecting, but just
Yeah,
not pointed
just
at
not on the
individual
person.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be like a little bit of like, I forget how far like germ theory and stuff is at this point. Probably not, but so far. But like, it'd be investigating the sickness on the first couple people, and then being like, okay, this is what I need to do to fix this.
And
I
point of
started
order,
his
also fair to
experiments
say,
in the
like a life mage would probably have a
1860s.
much greater understanding of things
Sure.
than a scientist would.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I really like that. That's way better.
There's some real like Bruja shit too.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
The two of us just sitting there with like a fucking like mortar and pestle and a bunch of different herbs and yeah.
Yep. Sit together, talk, and especially I think once she's brought in the first person and you've had a chance to look over them, being like, okay, know what this is, or I do now.
Right.
And like these are the things we need. Yeah.
It's just a normal, like a mundane sickness.
Yes.
Right.
It is to be blunt, it is a European sickness.
Right.
And so there's
Right.
just nothing that y'all are prepared for,
Sure.
or excuse me, that they're prepared for, and it's just
I mean, a lot of folks in our town also wouldn't have great immunities to this as well.
Nope.
So, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, and that's actually a good point. Yeah. So hey, when we get back home, hey, we're gonna start talking about this magical thing called vaccinations. Not actually, because we're definitely a few years off from that. But it's like, okay, everybody gonna be washing their hands for a little bit, taking care of yourself, and yeah. So the two of you, it's
Well, Jenner did his first experiments at the end of the 1800s with cowpox.
1796.
Oh,
Dr.
okay.
Virginia.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just this like very like, I think,
Oh, I said 1800s, I meant 1700s. Yes, thank you, Greg.
yeah, I think it's just this like afternoon of work that's like really fulfilling and everything. I think Isabel doesn't get to learn to lean into the like the shamanic side
Mm-hmm.
of being a theorist that much, and so it's almost this like Hekani has like a lived experience as a wise woman, but then not the like supernal knowledge to back that up,
Mhm.
and vice versa with Isabel, and having that like connection. I think it's just like really cool and like further cements that like hopefully things can work well together between the town and them and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah. There's a thought. Just yeah. So in the conversation as you guys are going through this, and especially now that you've pointed out, actually, yeah, it's not a big parade of people coming in. It's more you sitting together and working together. Um, I think you probably have time to kind of talk and discuss. And I'm wondering, uh, do you think maybe Okami is the person that you have been learning fate with? So I have her listed down as being. I didn't know if you had any other source that you had thought of for fate magic. So
It's if I want to continue learning fate, then
Mhm.
that would be a good avenue.
right,
I think what I have learned was only from like Rilla and Gisela and stuff.
gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Cool. But yeah, so I actually like that. Then it's like, oh, here's somebody, because
Mhm.
for the longest time you guys have had business transactions, mage to mage
Right.
even, but like this is a time where you're like having a chance to talk and learn, and yeah, so finding somebody who could teach you more fate.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and then it's like, good afternoon. The both of you return back to the jail cell. Or
Mhm.
not the jail cell, excuse me, the sheriff's
Just the
office.
sheriff,
Yeah. And then come out and, I'm sure one of your deputies has been, sitting out. It's like,
Sure.
had a good long nap. you, you okay, sheriff?
Oh, there's a lot to discuss.
Yes, ma'am. I like that. All right. Nice little pin in
I
that.
think she'll just like straight up go around and like tell them to check in with various people to see if there's any evidence of sickness and stuff like that. Check with some of the folks that like don't get out as often or like live on the outskirts of town and stuff like that.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Especially, some of those folks who live on the farm and don't come in, say for church every Sunday.
Yeah. And then to make sure we watch as like shipments are coming in from the fort or from down the river and stuff like that.
Man, I'm so glad that you mentioned shipments coming down from the fort. So we segue, another time, maybe that same week, just because why not? And a stranger arrives on the river barge. And, because you occasionally have some folks coming in, but as the farm has the farmland has become more of the focus and the mine has dwindled down to nothing, you don't have the pile of 10 rough and ready guys who are trying to make a buck, but you have some folks come in. This person is moderately aged, mid 40s or something like that, but they stand out. Their attire is definitely a little more fancy, a little more upper class, and steps off the barge with a sense of I belong here, and immediately asks to speak to Helena Anderson.
So just like whoever's there.
Yeah, like you've got
That
guys
is-
unloading
God.
stuff, so Ash, tell
I
me
really
about
like
one
him.
of your old friends, literally actually a friend from the Adamantine Arrow days that may have come to call. I know I put you on the spot, so we'll do this
I haven't
together.
thought of this at all. I don't know. She definitely had like good working relationships with most of the other people in the areas, people that possibly someone from the same legacy. People that basically did
Ooh.
abyss hunting. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
what she hunted seers, she beat out the abyss. That's what she
Oh.
did.
So good.
I love that.
So
gleaming sword.
yeah.
Okay,
May I
cool.
suggest the silver contrast to your gold?
I do
Ooh,
like
cool.
that, yeah.
That's pretty
So,
dope.
like-
Yes.
Yeah, this is someone that she they were hunting buddies.
I like that. So, Adelphi, that's how you used to know her, at least. And she's similar to you. She's changing names. And yeah, you basically, have a knock at the door and a familiar face. It's a little off because it's not Adelphi. It's let's give her a name. Of course, her name is Faith White. It's like that's your actual name.
You're definitely real
It's
human
not your
name.
shadow name?
Yep. Thank you, fantasy name generator. It was literally the one on the top of the list. I'm like, it
take
has been.
those.
Yep, it has been summoned. And she, kind of knocks and smiles, and yeah, there's a little bit more age to her and stuff like that since you last saw her. And she's like, I before I come in, before we talk about tea or anything like that, I do need to say, I am Vedantis. And so, of course, all y'all know what Vedantis is, but to remind the
Oh,
audience,
geez.
Yeah, obviously I understand
Ash-
what that word means.
Ash, we all know this. Chris, do you remember? Do you want to tell everybody, Chris, or are you just teasing?
Oh, wait, this is a term, not her new shadow name.
Correct,
Mhm,
it's a
yeah.
term.
Yeah, I assumed
This
that was
is,
her
um,
shadow name.
an arrow term.
It's an
This
arrow.
is
I've been quizzing
they've
the
been
old.
Oh, it's the ones that stopped fighting.
Yep. Yes. So yes. So
Refused to
basically,
be a weapon.
yep,
Mhm.
refuse to be a weapon, either because they've just seen too much warfare, or they've gotten slow, anything like that. They're gently, which is of course a little bit of an insult to Adamantine Arrow, who believe in conflict, and basically let out of the order.
Mhm.
They're not to join another order, but they are sometimes treated as they're not supposed to be interacted with other Adamantine Arrow because they've been exiled, that they've been shunned. But many a young Adamantine Arrow go to meet them and learn from them. It's just very hush hush, and it's one of those poorly kept secret kind of things. But yes, so here is your old friend who is now not in the same position as you because you were an apostate and you left. She, self dishonorably discharged. And so
She
she's
quit,
like,
but it was okay.
yeah, it's but she's now nameless, same as you, just in a different kind of category. And she's like, is it okay if we sit and visit for a little while?
Okay. And basically, as soon as she said that, Evidantus was like, good, because that's the only way I would let you in my house. Like, Helena's not here to be buddy buddy. It's just like, why are you here?
It's like,
It's like, okay, all right, well, we can talk.
Yeah.
But just the immediate response was like, no.
I love
Hi,
that.
I'm with
Ask about your car insurance.
one.
Your car's extended warranty, excuse me.
Hi, it's been a long time. Get out.
Yeah, just I planned on never seeing any of you people ever again. What are you doing at my front door?
I'm in the middle of nowhere. What?
Yeah.
Where did you come from?
You?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I'll invite her in then.
That's wonderful.
But yes, she is recently Vedantis. And while you have separate reasons for having left the Diamond Order, right? She has just become disillusioned to the whole idea of conflict is magic, and she gives you some of the stuff that probably at this point we're starting to hear from Jules as well, is like, things are really getting riled up. Things are absolutely rough, and I couldn't be part of it anymore. And I'm not asking for favors. I'm not asking for anything long term. But you're the only apostate I know. And every colleague, every friend that I had, I can't even speak to anymore. And so, yeah.
If you're willing to help, this town has space. Everyone here has been accommodating. You need to work.
Yeah, of course.
You can't just be a fancy moneyed lady.
She's
earning more points for the coven. We're not even here to witness it, but Alan is just gaining traction.
Yeah, you have. I mean, if you don't think you have skills, you can learn. But
she's a Moros. She's like, it's like, I can blacksmith with the best of them, but that was her craft. She's like, no, it's I don't want to stay here. Nothing against the town. It's lovely, but
it's comfortable.
And like, you say that, and she kind of sits back and like, stands up, goes and looks out the window again, and kind of like, and it clicks. Like, this is a quiet, comfortable place. It is not a place of conflict, right? And she's like, and she kind of looks at it with a new kind of gaze. She's like, okay. but no, I needed a familiar face, somebody to speak with, and like, do you mention that the coven is here? Because remember, you found the information about the coven before moving here. She just followed you. So
Okay.
she may not. Well, I will go ahead and tell you, she doesn't know that the
Okay.
coven is here.
Um. Yeah, I would definitely mention that because I feel like Helena would assume that you knew. Like, we were in the same concilium. There was someone who came out here and lived here for years. There were strange happenings. She came back, wrote up a report.
Yep. She's
Did
like,
you not read the reports?
I didn't. It's Colorado. There's nothing here. And that's literally what the reports
That's
said.
why it's nice.
Well, yeah, if you don't mind, yeah, if I just a day or two, I have been traveling literally since the right. And just a place to stop a second, to if you have other people you know, who need of my services. I don't. And she the abject, we'll say depression, even, of like, I don't have an obsession.
Yeah, she's lost. You don't have a purpose. You don't have a place.
It's like,
Just-
I have nothing to look at. I don't have any energy to do anything. I'm wayward. All the things I rallied behind. I just have our legacy. And even that seems odd now as Vedantis.
Do you have an idea of where you might want to go? If you don't want to stay?
I don't even have that. Some place like this. I mean, I may, I don't know, maybe I'll try here for a bit.
You
I
can
think-
stay, see how it fits. I can introduce you to the coven. I don't really have space, but there is an inn that you can stay at.
Oh, yes. No,
And if you decide that you want to stay
Arrange
for
that ahead
real,
of time.
we can see about if you decide you do want to stay, we can see about finding you somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, just like, as long as everybody goes to sleep, I can put a house up overnight.
It's
The
It
fuck you
seems-
can.
Yeah, excuse you.
but yeah, it seems like this might be a good place for someone in your situation.
I just imagined this holy Moros, this God, Bible thumping Moros setting up shop
He rests the
overnight.
host. It immediately collapses.
Oh no, because let's be real. Theo's gonna roll up full Baba Sarah with the lantern out front and just knock. Excuse me, we need to have a conversation. It's
Before
not
you
that
go
you're a
full
Moros, it's this.
Paradox all over our town.
Yeah.
So you're gonna build this house, you're gonna like pay someone to come build it for you.
I think just on an amusement level,
Mhm.
if she's like, yeah, this seems like a nice quiet place for Isabel to just come blazing by on Jose
Yes.
and like full on cartoon, like screech to a halt on the horse.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So no, this is perfect.
And like leap off and then slow walk into the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Wearing pants.
Yeah.
But yes. So yes. Faith will end up spending a few days here, more or less collecting herself, She's definitely not staying.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is definitely like the culture shock because she's from
Mm.
up north and it's out here. We have completely different weather. She's old school adamantine arrow. That isn't discomfort isn't going to bother her, but like it's quiet. There's nothing happening. Like everybody is excited about Sunday because there's a picnic every
Mhm.
week. That's the highlight of weeks. And
And
she's
she's
like,
from New York City.
right, there's
Yeah.
Mhm.
there is a tavern.
Look,
And-
look.
Yeah. I mean, if
Vidant-
you're trying not to fight,
Mhm.
if you don't want conflicts, hey, I've got a town for you. But it's sleepy.
Look, Vedantas are pacifists. They don't like fighting. That doesn't mean they don't like activity.
Right.
They want to get drunk. They just don't want to fight after they get drunk.
Yep. But yes, the two of you over the next few days have time to kind of share stories, gripe together because now you've both left the Diamond Order. She does update you on some more stuff since you've been gone because you've been gone for 2 years now.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
And yes,
And just news from the orders, news from New York.
yep.
What's been going on?
Lots of that kind of detail, lots, and of course a lot of it is the griping. She's Vedantis for a reason. It's not just the apostate. I'm upset at the concilium. It's like, no, this whole conflict thing is just too much. I've seen where this is going. She is like probably the first person that you've heard who literally says the words civil war. Right. Like others, oh yeah, there's tension, there's conflict, but nobody's talking about war. Everything is, being argued, but nobody's talking about military forces or anything like that. And she's like, nope. No, war is going to happen. The Arrow are actively riling this up. They're super excited for it. They're, kids in a candy store.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can
This
see
explains South Carolina.
that. But yeah, basically her going from being we fight evil. We fight the oppression that's trying to ruin
We
people's
fight.
lives. We fight off the abyss, and they're like, "Oh no, now you just
Yeah, because
this isn't a cause to get behind."
right, and for the two of you, like what you guys signed up for, especially as part of the choir, we're gonna kill evil, destroy it, rid it out, and then you look at your organization. It's like we're over here doing this, you're doing that. I'm out, and yeah, so you guys have that, and between her and Jules's telegraph messages, some of the stuff that y'all start to hear is there's war in China as the US, the UK, and France push their colonialism. India has begun to rebel against the UK. It's like, oh, cool, more conflict. Faith shows up and starting to talk about war. And then in August, very, very nearby, we have folks from Leavenworth in Kansas. I can't remember which group because I just put down just a couple little notes. March west to Utah. To well, they don't really fight, but there is the Utah war against the Mormons. And those folks pass right on by. It's great for the mill, by the way. Well, actually, I don't know. Does the mill switch up and go like, yeah, we'll totally make a bunch of fabric for uniforms? No. Okay. The mill still does some good business, but it's a lot of like buy gifts for your sweetheart wife mother, buy some exotic material from your visit through Colorado.
I mean, it might make business sense to switch over to producing uniforms, but Theo isn't running a mill for making money.
Right, and that's kind of what I thought. So yes, over these couple months, because we go from August into September, and yeah, like conflict is everywhere during this time. I believe that you all are also doing things like making the occasional visit out to a plantation and emancipating some more folks.
Mhm.
None of them have the signs of magical intrusion that Jeremiah had.
Mm.
And you guys visit, a few plantations, and kind of spread it along the Mississippi. It's a big river, and in some of the larger places that you visit, because as you discover, it's kind of a crapshoot of which plantation you actually pop out of when you open that
Yes.
co-location.
Exactly.
But it's like, oh, this is a really big plantation. We're going to grab everybody we can, but sometimes you leave because sleepers are waking up, people are coming out, and you can get who you got. They're not all like that lovely little pristine sterile plantation where it's smaller number of folks. But I'm
I think we kind
absolutely
of knew going in that we wouldn't always be able to save everybody.
right.
I think pristine and sterile was a very appropriate way to refer to it. It was intentional.
Yep.
And that's another part of the horror.
I think
right?
one thing I was probably going to address is that at least one of these times there is violence.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely no doubt. Like, especially somebody's going to pull guns on y'all.
Right.
Yeah, I have no doubt Petrichor is firing back.
I imagine people heard, right? Like, especially because we're just like going along the Mississippi. The first 2 times, maybe the first 3 times, like, where'd everybody go? But then you hear in the middle of the night, everyone's gone. Oh,
Yep.
Give me a break. Who's doing this?
Yep.
All right. Somebody's waiting up.
Yeah.
Somebody's waiting up. Not on my watch. Am I going to lose everyone and lose all my slaves? No way.
Yep.
And then violence happens. Somebody pulls guns. They're just waiting for us to come.
Somebody waiting in the slave quarters with a
Exactly.
shotgun.
Yes.
Yep.
Bingo.
Yep. Yeah. Just to make it clear, yeah, we haven't just suddenly stopped emancipating slaves. It's just that's not necessary.
Right.
It is on the back burner. It is a continual thing. Basically, as Les Enfants can either integrate them into Purgatory Bluff, get them home, or find other places, quite literally, as it is started to develop, and you work on this as part of the Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
And just finding other places that they can go and be safe, and not
It becomes more logistically challenging.
Mhm.
Because you're not just emancipating people and then leave them to fend for themselves in a desert in Colorado.
There's got to be a tail on our act.
Yes. Yeah.
There are of course, some more fun things. Les Enfants, for instance, welcomes a new member of the quote unquote congregation.
Ooh, yeah, awesome.
Like we've had some some folks join from outside Les Enfants, but there's also a birth, which is exactly right. Not the first birth of a Haitian maroon in America, because it's been a decade. I promise you, there's been a couple babies in that amount of time. But in this particular window, we have a new one that is always fun, and there's a celebration, and and I feel like it's kind of special for Les Enfants, right? Because that's the like we have roots here.
Yes.
And we were extending the roots and stuff like that. And where the first ones, maybe those first couple years, right, was kind of like, yeah, there's a baby and we're excited about it. But now it's like, nope, this is cool. We're going to make a big deal about it. Everybody in town knows. Alejandro is already being like, a boy. Okay. Let me see. What girls about that age am I like? Who am I going to? It's like, dude.
Lining up the prospects.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
it's-
to be fair, you probably don't have that much to choose from.
Right.
Getting bored with the red string in his back office.
Yep.
He's got it all mapped out.
It's like we have 8 children approximately this age. Let's start
Yep.
seeing every possible combination.
Yep. And, especially, because you have to reach out to some of the other towns, some of the others, nearby and stuff like that. But, oh, yeah. So you have that. But yes, I backtracked. Of course, because the U.S. Army, by the way, is going out to the West. And one of the reasons this is a big deal is because this is a big push, the Republican push, I know, weird, against polygamy and slavery. And this is one of those big points of, yes, military force to stop slavery. And all the southern states are going, excuse me, what?
Yeah.
And this is one of those little turning points.
Mhm.
And then as we kind of wrap up the episode, we've had a, speedy couple months. We talked about some of the stuff y'all are investigating. And unfortunately, I was very bad because work was a thing this week. But what are we looking into? What does anybody have any plans for some of the research they were doing, or is this kind of it's a back burner? We'll get around to it when we get around to it, kind of thing.
Good.
Oh, Helena is very riled up over this Sierra plantation. So anything she can have been doing, she will have been.
I like that. Okay.
Because we stole a bunch of their books, right?
Yep. Stole a bunch of books. With a quick review, only the one particular ledger has marks. There's a bunch of other books, details, this, that, and the other, but that one
With the coded ink blots.
Yep.
I would have been taking time trying to decipher that.
Yeah, so I think somewhere Helena has a notebook, and it may have actually been one of the first times Jules and you work on a project together, because like Jules is like, when we look at some books, some books.
You got some things written down? You need some reading done? You need some investigation with a written word? I'll help you out with that.
Yep.
My sweet little autistic husband.
Yep.
He's got a new hyper focus.
I mean, we first met him trying to decipher a weird book.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, and he likes codes. He likes ciphers. That is absolutely. So he's like, like I imagine it's like, hey, I'm gonna bring over my daughters, and the 4 of us are gonna work on this puzzle, and by the 4 of us, it'd be the 2 of us, and the 2 of them are gonna play with dolls on the floor. Okay, I dig that.
So, I did have a thing. Remind me, which of y'all have Prime?
Me and Ralph.
Everybody? Okay.
Everybody.
He does your too.
2 masters and 1 adept.
Yep.
Right.
Craig only has 4 dots.
So yeah. So whichever ones of y'all either saw scrutinized the Nimbus from the mages that we've seen, or can help me pull the one that I've got and create essentially like a grimoire of like a catalog of Nimbi, right? So that I could be able to show off to other people.
Well,
Because I need to, or I want to meet with Abigail.
Oh yeah.
And just be like, hey, this is what we're doing, and I'm sure it's going to get around and travel through channels, and I know that we're not political here. But if I get in trouble, you are associated with me, and it's kind of how these things go.
Yep. I'm up to mischief as technically my mentor.
Heads up.
I like that.
Captain Mom.
Remember-
So it's a simultaneous, like, you know, I'm looking out for you, but also,
Yeah.
You know any of these?
Yep.
So they were
it is
basically
super-
making like Nimbus business cards.
Yeah. And which I think Helena actually, from your experience chasing Sears, and being part of a concilium, you're like, oh yeah, here's the standard template for how to report a Nimbus, and mark it down, because like some Nimbus could be very, very similar, so it's like all the details that you can get.
Because I know I did it with Songbird, where you can like make your Nimbus be
Nimbus tuning.
something else, right?
Yep.
So
No, I like that.
Is there
it'll just sort of be like a group thing, and then we haven't really gotten into like how like summoning the actual or going to the actual Tempest works with the legacy, but I think that's like a thing that.
Oh yeah, we may do that next episode. Yeah, because that'd be real good. And I messaged you that one time about that thing, and we haven't talked about that anymore. So we may actually need to talk off camera, because I'm so bad about that. But yeah, because that would be a good little fun thing to do as part of that investigation.
So it'd be that, and then I was trying to think of. I feel like I had one more thing of like how Isabel would be going about this, but it's escaped my mind at the moment.
Sure. Give us a shout if you remember it. What about Theo and Ralph? Wait, hang on. Theo and Cloak.
Theo's a little frustrated because her experiment subject is no longer really on the table. So she has these things she wants to discover about awakenings and things like that. And Jules.
Jules, yeah. I trust me, I was right there with. I think all of us were like, "Who is she experimenting on?" Oh, okay.
Because I was
the dead bodies are still around. What are you talking about? You haven't outlawed cadavers.
Yeah. So she's kind of frustrated on her main obsession at the moment. So I think she'll be knowing that she's going away on short notice a lot in the last little while. When she's there, she is 110% there
with Catherine and Velosia.
With Catherine and the dutiful wife and mother and business owner, and really putting out all the stops to try and make the time that she has gone as the least painful as possible. Well, because she can't really follow her obsession right now.
Well, one of the things I was going to ask is, I mean, you have a spooky fucking town. Do you go, not necessarily Alethian, because that's somebody who studies, are you over here going like, who's asking questions and giving a little nudge?
I know in case there's somebody that is sort of showing the signs.
But I mean, because as at this point, like there are three mages.
A rule of big numbers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but also there are three mages with high gnosis, with long-term nimbus, that's just going to make weird things happen. And there's some let's not fly past this. Over those couple of months, there are small little mysteries that pop up, weird events, right? Hey, did you guys notice that the alley between, these two buildings brings you somewhere over there instead? And dissonance ends up destroying it pretty quickly, but that is weird. Or, there's these jet black ravens that are just like silhouettes. Like you shine light on them and they go away. And we're not referencing Strix. Those are owls.
Yeah.
I know some of you nerds were like, what the fuck? No. But it's just like, those are weird. And then they're just gone. Just, you have these things because you have this much concentrated supernal bullshit happening. So yes, it is potential.
He was definitely keeping an eye out for potential other subjects that she can start looking into.
Gotcha.
And as always, she's anytime Catherine or Velosia have questions, she is open and honest with her answers. But only answers questions that they ask.
Right. Yep.
So she'll let them follow along until they get to a point where they're not comfortable anymore, and then she'll let it back off.
Like that.
So yeah, she's definitely frustrated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is a hard thing to follow in a small sleepy town.
Mhm.
Gotcha. And what about Ruff? What are we
Ooh,
investigating?
yeah. So the first thing to remind you of is his cognoscent merit. So the scribing grimoires.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask in the course of the past few months if there are any relevant contexts associated with people who want that. We haven't explored the rotes that and the astral grimoires that he was going to create for the coven, so we can do that another time. Just reminding you of that, right? Like there are a few rotes in particular that you and I have talked about that might be cool for people to have, but the nature of how these astral grimoire and the specific way that he creates them with Prime involved is what we really want to show on screen. Would be fun. So there's that. Let's see. Let me pull up one moment. The sessions are, yeah, that's right. Okay, so he has 3 obsessions. He never got rid of aiding others at crossroads and thresholds. That's probably going to stick with him until he dies, right? Or becomes an Irish master of sins. Like that is who Legba is, right? And it is too influential on his development and self-actualization, right? The 2 that I've really taken on, which are somewhat different, is one is break the chains that bind us, forge the chains that unite us. When at first he thought, people going through adversity, that's how you live. Then he learned that connection is actually how you thrive, right? You can survive through adversity. You can learn how to endure, but the only way that you can get past that point is friendship, is love, is connection. So he's looking for opportunities to do that, to enhance that. And then his other obsession is true connection. And this is what kind of inspired what I brought up before, where it doesn't make sense to him that he can't summon an angel of mind in Prime or space in Prime. It doesn't make any sense to him at all. If the Arcana exist in every supernal realm, even though, some are dominant, and you attain mastery and you can witness them, you can talk to them, then why won't you come if I call you? It's not that I have to summon an angel. It's not like I want to only summon angels, but this seems like an artificial segregation of the opportunities available to mages, right? It just doesn't make any sense to him. It seems absurd, right? So he is trying to explore that in the Temenos without talking to Supernals directly.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, go right ahead.
You've activated Drew's trap card.
Yeah, Drew's got that look.
You and Chris just swapped position.
Oh.
Okay.
Right there in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Well, how about that?
This is what Drew keeps saying to those viewers at home. The Discord does gremlins at him.
It's fine. And yeah, you know what? I was thinking, I'm just going to cut this out, but no, we're going to leave it in because that way everybody on YouTube sees this.
No.
It's proof of my delusion.
People of the world, fans of OA, I'm asking you to gaslight Drew.
If you truly love the YouTube channel, you'll say you saw nothing.
That's right.
Put it in the comments.
Drew's
our most commented video.
Yeah. Drew's suggestion is John Cena.
Yeah.
Just can't see it.
Yep. Oh,
so he's very, he's curious about that. But true connection, what he means by that is what does it mean to be connected to another? Not distance, not in the sense of space, not in the sense of mind, and not in the sense of some related truth. What does it actually mean and why does it matter? He understands how it feels to be a person and have connections to people. He understands what the limitations are, but that seems wholly material once he's gotten to the point where he's become a third-degree master. He's thinking this word connection that we apply is just some name for a concept that must be much more sublime, more supernal, right? The soul is a complex mix of all the subtle arcana, but more than that. You can't just create a soul if you're a fifth degree master and you have all the subtle arcana. It won't happen, right? There's something more to that. So connection must be something more to that. If you can connect to a mind through your souls, and you can't do that, right? Let me rephrase this. If you can connect to somebody else's soul through thought, but you can't, and you can manufacture connection to their soul through thought, but you cannot create a soul. Why not? If you can create the connection between souls, but you can't create a soul itself, it's like saying that you cannot create an electrical circuit, but you can create a connection between electrical circuits.
Right.
If a circuit is made of wires and electricity flows through it, why can't you create them? And I realize the circuit is in
A lot
many
more
ways.
than that, yeah.
Yes, a lot more. It's complicated. And soul is a lot more complicated than just a circuit. But again, going back to this, like, what does it mean to be connected? Why does connection matter? How do you explore it? And so, the third thing, which is related to this obsession, is it possible, in the same way that a police sketch artist can produce a face for you by asking you questions, by drawing things out of your mind, drawing familiarities. Is it possible for someone who's familiar with memories to take the negative space from someone's mind and reconstruct what that memory is?
Like,
So
say,
he
for
remembers
Jeremiah.
Yes, he remembers exactly what that shape was. He has no idea what it is. But is it possible to guess at a reasonable facsimile of what was there, what it looked like? So he would just, be at least an idle, play
Mhm.
with that, like doodling on a piece of paper. Does that seem right to me based on this? Does that seem okay? And how about this? Just adding in details here and there slowly over time.
I like that. That's fun. I also
Okay,
love
cool.
the idea of like Legba holding a like talk session discussion group in the in Metropolis.
Yeah.
Just hanging up posters. Hey, do you want to talk about this? Slap, done up in fluent high speech. Meet me at this corner of Metropolis at
Take
this
one.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, take one.
I'm just thinking of playing Who's That Pokemon with the memory hole.
Yes, that's so
It's
good.
pretty good. Yep.
It's one
Very
where it's
good.
like it's Diglett, but then it's fucking Uncle Ben's tomb.
Yep. Terrible.
I remember my other thing.
Yeah.
Isabel would be pushing to expand her knowledge of time in any way she can find scraps of knowledge or
Ooh.
learn from others.
Gotcha.
But obviously there's not much in the way of others around here.
Mhm. Interesting.
And
Okay. No, that's fine. That's good because I have to give you all some more nameless order connections because
yeah.
Kind of.
Primarily because she knows that she needs that higher degree of connection to time to be able to talk to perhaps a friend of the time dog,
Yep.
so to speak. Because that's sort of her. That's the only real way that she feels she can contribute from this, like, removed from the
We're
like
not
actions,
there.
sort
Right.
of,
Mhm.
right? Like she just doesn't have the space or like the prime or anything like that to do these sort of more like
Remote investigation.
arcane,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
arcane investigations, right? She's very, besides the spirit, like very material focused.
That's true. Yeah. Lifetime and forces.
Yeah,
Yeah. All the gross arcana.
I'm a gross bitch.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. I like that. Yeah, we may have another small time skip where we go over some of this stuff and then we jump back in because that gives me. I have ideas now.
Mhm.
I thought I had an idea of where we were going to pick up, but no, I have a new one now. So this will be fun. Cool. And yeah, hopefully this week I actually message everybody on Discord. Yeah. Also, quick reminder, because I've seen it a couple times on Reddit, people talking about problematic mages and how overpowered they are and stuff like that. And yes, mages are very overpowered, but remember, as a storyteller, you always have the opportunity where a mage player is like, hey, I've come up with this great spell and it does this, and it is completely within the books and all according to the rules, and it's just OP and it's going to completely derail your game. You let them cast it once, and then you ascend the mage and remove that character out of the game, and you're good.
Yeah.
Say thanks, you won the game. Congratulations. There's the door.
I mean, alternately, just and then the enemy gets to cast it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This reminds me of
Because-
the like
yeah.
deeply fried JPEG meme of like, if you don't like it, you could just fucking leave.
Yeah.
Like, get the bricks.
That's right.
Yep.
Yep. It's so good.
Okay.
Also, of course, the term overpowered is intrinsically subjective. Jeez.
Yeah.
Too much study of grammar and language lately. So it's intrinsically subjective, and
Oh, yeah.
and so as a consequence, right? Like if people assume that there's a certain level of power that characters in a particular context should have, and what you see exceeds it, then you will claim that it's overpowered. Mage is designed for all of the main characters to do crazy things all the time.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's about. It's not about whether or not you can
It's
melt
about the
glass.
consequences.
Yes, exactly. It's about consequences. It's about the hubris.
It's all about the hubris.
Not me. I'm too good for that shit. I'll get it figured out.
Also,
that's great.
need to call this out for the rest of the group here,
Mhm.
because I don't know that everybody saw it, and maybe you, our viewer, haven't seen it. But yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, Chris mentioned that Songbird was the most metal character
Oh yeah, it was so
they'd
good.
ever played.
It's so good.
And I hate it
was
so
so
bad. I need to call it out here. If
It's
you
so
don't
good.
understand, I'm gonna have to ask you to go watch 160 episodes of The Rookery so you can come back and join me in being so mad at that joke.
It's so good.
I mean,
It's so
you
good.
could just
Don't
watch
clap.
the last one.
You could just watch the last one and have no context of what is happening.
It's
But
so good.
yes,
It's so
Ah.
good.
The pun still works.
It's great.
Yep. Ah,
It's so
I
good.
just sat there and I had it. And I was
Yep.
like,
You
I'm
had to
gonna type
inflict
this.
it.
had to deliver.
I'm
it.
gonna type this.
There
So-
we go.
It took me a second to get it, like why it was under a spoiler tag. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh,
Then you were also mad with the rest of us.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey,
Ah.
rest of y'all. Nah, that was fantastic.
Oh, it's terrific, but I also hated it. If
We
you
take
are
those.
very curious what we're talking about, come by Discord, www.yeetinto.space. Come join us. Come talk about this show. Come talk about Blades in the Dark. Talk about the Rookery. Talk about Richmond, Virginia, and how Drifter is the best mage that has ever been on this channel.
It's a good mage. Pretty good mage.
Any of that?
He's like a top, I don't know, 10.
Yes. Oh.
I will concede that Drifter is the best mage that Drew likes on this channel.
I don't know. Abaddon was pretty good too. Anyways, yes, come by Discord, hang out, chat with us. We'd love to hear about your games. If you got questions, we got answers. If you want to support us monetarily, like those folks at the start of the video, that's www.staylucky.club to access our Patreon, and you can support us there. Otherwise, thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Indeed.